So right now you've got a tight Achilles and you've been doing this kind of stretches every day. But let's be honest, did it help? Well, of course it does. But does it solve your problem? Not definitely, right? So here's what we're going to talk about today, and that is misdiagnosed injuries or pain or whatever you want to call it. Misdiagnosed is basically taking the wrong medicine for the wrong kind of sickness. It's like if you have a cough but you're taking flu medications. Yes, it helps, but that's not the problem. So in this case of your tight Achilles, if the stretches that you do every day isn't perfecting your motions, then the answer to that could be in your foot. So let's take this for example. We do a full squat. Do you know why the ankles get pulled forward? It's not that it's not flexible, it's being pulled by your ankles and your anterior muscles. Notice how your feet, like if you're standing like this and when you go down to a full squat, your feet tends to curve out like that. Yeah, so by your feet doing that, it's pulling the entirety of your hip, and if you're trying to force your hip in, which is why the weight needs to shift somewhere, so it goes forward instead of actually going back. So with that said, here are a few tips that could help you start solving this problem. Alright, tip number 1 is to make sure that the entirety of your feet is on the floor. Now what do I mean by that? If you take a closer look right here, it's supposed to be arched like that. So if your arch is collapsing inwards, that means that there's a slight gap on this side. So you should know once your entirety of your feet reaches. So the best way for me to describe that to you is to spread out your toes, press with the ball of your foot, and grab the floor. That's step 1. Step number 2, to help make sure that your feet stays in that position as you're squatting, is very simple. Take a piece of A4 paper and put it under your feet. So you put the entirety of your feet onto the paper and squat. Once you're done squatting, you stand up and check if that paper has scrapes. If it doesn't, that means your feet are not actively holding your weight. So that means now your hips is the one that's holding your weight, and when it gets too far down, it can't control itself, which is why you had to shift the weight forward, so your knees has to fall forward, and when your knee falls forward, your ankles has a certain limited range of motion, so now your toes will be pointing up. Padahal your Achilles elok, but it's because of that one problem. Notice how that everything else is affected. Now that is the kinetic chain. So what is the best solution to address kinetic pain? Well, that will be a video for another episode. So be sure to help me out by subscribing and checking the bell icon. So until I see you guys in the next one, stay safe, train smart, and remember, being a better athlete starts with you.